Whether it's bathroom breaks or business calls, motherhood means constant interruption. If you've ever felt like you can't finish a sentence, a task, a thought without someone needing something, this episode is for you. Let's talk about the mental load of having to always be on, how I'm learning to pause without falling apart, and why your availability is not your value. Hey, hey, welcome to the Solo Mama Show, where we talk motherhood, hustle, healing, and holding it all together, mostly. I'm Marylyne, solo mama of two wild, beautiful boys, woman of color, entrepreneur, and child of God, figuring it out one snack break and life curveball at a time. This is your safe space, mama. Real talk, safe vibes, and zero judgment. Whether you're thriving today or barely surviving, just know this. You are powerful, you're enough, and even on your hardest days, you're still doing a damn good job. So grab your water, your wine, or your laundry basket, and let's get into it. On today's episode, we're talking how to deal with having to constantly be on. I feel like as solo moms, we don't get the opportunity to talk enough about the mental load of having constant availability. And what does that mean? That means you are the default, the one who has to remember everything, the one who has to notice everything, and the one who literally gets asked every single thing. And sometimes having all of that on you all at once can show up as you being touched out. And I went through a period of time personally where, and I'm trying to make conscious efforts and be intentional now of coming out of that. I have never been a touchy-feely person. I don't like to be bothered. It takes it I can count on one hand with fingers available how many people are allowed to just walk up to me and hug me. And it's weird because at the same time, being raised as a Haitian girl, um, we are we are brought up to, when you greet people, to have to hug and bisu on both cheeks and all of that. And while I have been able to wrap my head around that, um, hugging me just cuz, touching me just cuz has never really been my thing, right? But I went through an extreme period of being touched out during the phase of breastfeeding with Jagger. Um, so a little bit of background. So when I had Ethan, he was initially breastfed, but I went through postpartum depression after having him, and while doing that, so for me, depression manifests itself as not eating, being one of the main symptoms, I guess I could say. And as small as I am now, I was even smaller back then. Prior to having Ethan, I was like 113 pounds. Literally, I was 113 pounds. And on the day that I gave birth, I was 128 pounds. But literally, that was all baby and placenta. I joke all the time because maybe 2 weeks, I want to say 2 weeks after having him, I had my first appointment where I had to be weighed for something. I don't remember what it was, but I was literally right back to 113. So being already small and not eating, it was obviously difficult to produce milk. So after about around month 5 or 6, I woke up one morning and I had no milk. Now, this is not the point of the story, but talk about spiraling, because I was already going through a little bit of depression, but then um, being able to not do what I thought I was supposed to, being breastfeeding, and it happening overnight. So I didn't get a chance to wean him. He had never had formula. That's actually how we ended up finding out that Ethan had a dairy allergy. But we didn't know that because I didn't drink dairy milk. So it wasn't, and I don't know if that really affects my milk production. But we went through a lot of months of trial and error. Trying to figure out what was going on, why he couldn't keep anything down, why he was breaking out. Like, my baby went through it, which made me mentally go even deeper into a spiral. But I say all that to say, when I had Jagger, I was determined to last longer. I really only wanted to do a year. My goal was to do a year. But one reason or another, maybe it's COVID and he wasn't around anybody, and so I really wasn't pumping, and he was exclusively breastfed. Jagger wouldn't take a bottle, wouldn't take a pacifier, wouldn't anything. So he was constantly on me. And Jagger breastfed till he was almost 3, maybe a month before his 3rd birthday. And I mentioned in the first episode how I kept him home from school. He didn't start school until he was almost 3. School is one of the things that finally forced him to have to eat something else, because he was away from me for 6 to 8 hours out of the day. And even then, in the beginning, he would still find a way to use me as like a pacifier overnight. We were co-sleeping at the time. I had to literally start sleeping in the living room and let him sleep in the bed by himself to break that habit. But in that breastfeeding journey, after a couple of months, because I mentally prepared myself for 12 months, by month like 15, 18, I was so over it. But Jagger would not eat. He would not eat. He would not drink. He still till now doesn't drink milk, like regular milk. And it was a toss up between starving my child and just letting him. I mean, I was still producing the milk. It was available. My body was doing all the things that it needed to do. It was producing just enough, so I wasn't pumping and trying to, maybe now give him a sippy cup or whatever. And honestly, I don't think it would have worked anyways, because we tried sippy cups, we tried bottles. I bought so many different ones, trying to see which one maybe he like and maybe he'd take. Pacifiers, same thing, and he wouldn't do it. When he was crying, he wanted me. When he needed to fall asleep, he needed me. When he was hungry, he needed me. And being, again, someone who just does not like being touched and bothered and prodded and whatever, it was a lot. Like, it was a lot. And so, unfortunately, what that meant sometimes for my big is that he would come in for a hug and I'd be like, don't touch me. And in that, it would take me a second to be like, I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. Like, quickly, get your hug or whatever it is that you need, because he is a touchy-feely person. And I always joke, God is so funny. And oh man, in so many different ways in my life, all I can do sometimes is sit back and laugh. Because why? Why would you give me, of all people, the super sensitive, the touchy-feely, the lovey-dovey children, like, knowing that is not my default at all? Like, I've been a mom for 15 years and I still have to consciously make an intentional effort to be like extra love. I show my love in other ways. Okay. When we're talking about love languages and things like that, I show my love through acts of service, through, sometimes words of affirmation, but I'm a service-oriented person. So definitely act of service, gift giving. That is where I thrive. That is my happy place. That is where Marylyne cares about you, because I will go above and beyond. I'm the friend that shows up if you call, when you call. Sometimes you didn't even have to call, and I kind of just felt it if we're close enough, where we have that relationship where I feel comfortable just kind of showing up for you. But I am not the shoulder to cry on. If you come to me crying, I'm assuming that you want me to take action. I got you with that. But like a hug or like consoling, that's not me, unfortunately. And even in motherhood, it has manifested in that as well, where it's not always my default to be, touchy-feely. And so being touched out is a really, really real thing, right? So you go all day being like really close to being molested, because I don't know, breastfeeding mamas, talk to me in the comments. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. They have no sense of decorum. They have very little respect, whether you are in public, in private, in bed, or in the middle of church. When that child decides that they want to pull your shirt down and expose you, they do not care who is around. Man, woman, child, animal, elephant, it does not matter. When they decide that they are ready for boob, for milk, it is not your decision. You will no longer have autonomy over your body. And it was like that for 35 months. And I don't know how long, you let me know in the comments, how long did you breastfeed for? And, how easy was it to wean your child? Did your child also eat other foods? So maybe you weren't being touched as often? Because like I said, Jagger just would not eat. Jagger just would not eat. And I started his solid food journey, or tried starting his solid food journey, around the same time I did with Ethan. Because, Ethan was my only other example of how to be a mom. I started feeding him solids around 5-6 months. So with Jagger, I did the same thing. And let me tell you, the extra effort, because I made everything from scratch. Like, we went to the market, got the organic sweet potatoes, and I have a TikTok. Maybe I'll put it up on the screen. I have a TikTok that literally shows me making like one of the first batches of his food, and he had to be like 6 or 7 months, maybe 6 months. I don't remember exactly. It's been well over 4 years now. But we tried it. And when I tell you, that boy would literally act like he was being poisoned. You would have thought like he could smell the poison in it, and he knew just not to take it. And it's so weird because he was so determined to not do anything but breastfeed that I remember. So Jagger had to be 10 months, I want to say. I had a wedding to go to. And because I was getting my hair and makeup done anyways for this wedding, I had decided that I was going to do like a brand shoot. I needed new headshots because we were going into, like, I was preparing for tax season, and I needed new headshots for some of the promo, flyers and stuff that we were going to do. So I scheduled ahead of time for one of my cousins. Hi, Chels. Love you so much. She volunteered to babysit for me that day. And when I tell you, fully capable, amazing with children, nurse, and someone that I could trust with them. I worked my butt off for weeks ahead of time to pump enough milk, because again, I was producing, by then my body was in a rhythm. It was producing just enough to feed him on his intervals. So I worked overtime for like 3 to 4 weeks ahead of time so that I could leave food for them, because I knew it was going to be a long day. I had to go get my hair done. I think I did my hair the day before, but I had to get my makeup done. I had to go to the location where I was shooting the promo, and we did 2 locations. And then I knew not to come home. So I booked, I made a plan where somewhere I could get dressed for now the wedding, right? So it was a long day. I was gone for over 13 hours. When I tell y'all baby nephew was so stubborn, he would literally rather die of starvation than drink these bottles. And the heartbreak, because mamas, once you heat that milk, once it thaws, that's it, right? So we go through 1 pack of milk. He don't want it. Couple hours go by, still can't feed it to him anymore. Now we defrost another, right? He would not take the bottle. Chelsea tried her hardest but not take the bottle. And after a while, of course, now you're hungry, right, baby? You would think if you're hungry enough that you would just say, you know what? Let me just take this bottle. This is all I got. Wouldn't take it. My baby boy went all day without eating. And now he's crying, right? Like, she can't console him because he's hungry, but he's only 9 or 10 months. He can't talk. He can't say what's going on, whatever. I mean, we know what's going on. He's tired, but he can't fall asleep on his own because he needs his pacifier, aka my boob. He's hungry, but he won't eat the food that has been left for him and supplied for him. So you know how, like, when you cry so much, your body does like the natural like hiccup thing or whatever. That boy cried for so long, so hard that day, that for 3 days, I am not even exaggerating, for 3 days, his body was still, I was home by then. The moment I walked in, I could barely say thank you to my cousin. I literally had to grab him, put him on, feed. And I mean, I needed to too, because my boobs were used to, providing for him every 2-3 hours. So after 12 hours, when I tell you, it looked good in the dress, but it hurt. The cleavage was cleavaging. And that's probably the biggest my boobs have ever looked in their life, because unfortunately I am a member of the Itty Bitty Titty Committee. My uncle coined that phrase for me when I was 15, which is not very nice, but we won't talk about that. So, breast full of milk. Yeah, cool. Look great in the pictures. But, I was ready to come home to him. He was ready for me to come home also. And that child literally went over 13 hours without eating. So all of that to, again, emphasize, like, sometimes it is very, very real when you are the only one there, when you're the only one who has to give all the hugs and breastfeed and give the kisses and give the, affection and words of affirmation or whatever. Being touched out is a very real thing. And you can't blame yourself for getting there, because any human who is being touched and prodded in whatever 24 hours a day is going to get to a point where they're like, enough. Animals in the zoo who are literally trained to just be there and sit and be watched and be petted and whatever. You ever go to the exhibit and they tell you that the animal is on break right now, come back in an hour? Because everybody needs a moment when they are not the center of attention. Right. And sometimes we have those guilty moments when it comes to having to just say to them, not right now. At any given moment in my house, if you come over, you will hear me say, mommy just need 5 minutes. Sometimes it comes out a little bit more frustrated than that, because one thing about them, they do not care. They do not care. So, I could be in my room with my door closed, my door locked, and they'll just come in and just start talking. And I'd be like, can I please have 5 minutes? And they look at you kind of crazy, like, dang, I just wanted to tell you something. What was it? And it'd be the most unimportant, random, irrelevant thing ever, right? But if I don't stop and listen in this moment, I'm the bad guy. But you guys, we also have to be okay with, especially after a certain age, setting boundaries, setting cues, and even younger, there are things that they understand, right? Now, granted, for whatever reason, the closed door doesn't seem to be one of them. I have reiterated over and over and over again, when mama's door is closed, you knock and wait for a response. The little one will knock and scream through the door, mama, I'm knocking. I know, I heard you. I'm ignoring you. Like, what part of that don't you understand? Or then open up the door and say, I knocked. He'll wait at least. The older one knocks while turning the knob and opening the door, and I'm almost like, so why did you bother knocking? Even if it was one of those, I'm announcing my presence, you didn't give me long enough to prepare for your presence, to sit up, or what if I was getting dressed, put my shirt on, or I don't know, or to say no, right? And so I've done that before. Who cares? No one cares, because I'll say no, not right now, and big and little. But I really need to tell you something. Do you really, really need to tell me something in this moment, exactly right now? It is life or death that you have to tell me. Yes, it is, mom. Okay, cool. So what are we talking about? Nothing, guys. It's always nothing, right? But it is what it is. But all of this comes with interrupted sleep, interrupted thoughts, interrupted creativity, and interrupted time, right? Because again, you are constantly available to all of these wonderful, wonderful little humans who occupy your home, your space, and your whatever else. And there's this emotional wear and tear of having to be called 100 times a day. Mama, mommy, mom, Marylyne, because the older one will get real smart. And if I ignore the mamas long enough, he'll try to call me by my first name and then run and laugh, because don't let me catch you. And it comes to the point where, again, as a solo mom, there's no one to tag in, right? So even your quiet moments can sometimes get hijacked. And we have to remember that it's okay to feel like you need a moment, right? Because honestly, when I think about it, I don't think I've ever gone even to the bathroom without hearing mama through the door. And I really wish that I was joking. But other than the fact that when they're literally not in the house, which thank goodness, I get a little bit more of that now. And I thank God that I am an entrepreneur, so I do make my own schedule and my time does belong to me. So I can carve out more of those silent moments. And sometimes I do a lot more. Lately, I've been doing a lot more of that than I used to allow myself before, because it was getting to a point where we were getting really burnt out. Like the candle was at its very, very last, the wax that's at the bottom before the wick goes all the way out. That's where we were. And so I have a little bit more quiet time during the day. And while technically that means that I'm supposed to be working, or there's something that needs to get done, I've been allowing myself more and more to just kind of be like, the only thing I'm getting done today is nothing. I'm going to watch a couple episodes of whatever it is that I'm watching right now. Currently rewatching Scandal, because why not? It's on Netflix uninterrupted. So that's, being okay with that being the reality. Whatever your moments are, just kind of carving that out for yourself. So let's talk about navigating patience with grace, right? There is kind of a shame spiral that comes with, like, sometimes snapping or feeling irritable. In those moments, that's not the type of mom, we want to be. We don't want to be the ones that are always like, oh, what do you want? Or however that manifests itself. But it's also unrealistic expectation of being endlessly calm and nurturing, right? And I don't mean this across the board of being motherhood. I'm speaking specifically to solo and single parents in this moment, right? Because when there is no one else to tag in, when it is you who is constantly on go, 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 it is so easy. Because here's the thing, there is never a moment to kind of refill your cup. You can try to squeeze in time here, and I've been doing a lot better with kind of taking like solo days to myself, and those are the days where I say I'm not working, I'm not being available to anyone. I'm gonna go see a movie, a matinee, because I have until 4 o'clock to go pick up Little, and there's a 12:30 movie, and I'm gonna go see it, right? So I've been doing a little bit better with that, but that might get me to 60, right? On a scale of 0 to 100, I don't know the last time I was at it. Like, my cup was full, meaning I'm at 100, right? So if you're constantly pouring from a half empty cup or an actual empty cup, those weeks where, perfect example, guys. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that a couple weeks ago, Little had a surgery. He had to have his tonsils and adenoids removed. And there is a 2 to 3 week recovery period, but he was home for 3 weeks. Guys, he was home for 3 weeks with a very limited menu of things that he can eat, and with instructions from his surgeon to rest and relax. A 4-year-old boy, rest and relax. Guys, he rested for maybe 24 hours. Okay, he really could have went back to to school day 2, but we were told that though they might look okay on the outside, of course, because tonsil removal surgery, adenoid removal surgery is not something you can see. It's in, wherever. There was the reason why they're supposed to be home, because there's always a possibility of a bleed, and the bleed could be little, where it's just maybe a little bit of droplets, or it can be a major tear, which is why they're not supposed to eat certain things. There are things that you might consider soft, but because of the dryness of it, it could still it was a lot. It was a lot of instruction, right? But all of that to say, by week 2, baby, I wanted to give him the house, right? Because again, my free moments are usually when he's at school. And because he's home, but big brother isn't, there isn't even anyone for me to be like, go play with your brother. Like, go bother him for a second. Cause I'd be like, hey, you want to go play in your room? Yes, let's go play in my room. No, baby, that's not what that's not what I said. There are puzzles, there are blocks, there are books, there are trucks, there are all these things in your room. Don't you want to go do that? Why are you right here? Why? So it's like, while usually on a regular week, again, I can find, maybe I took myself out to lunch real quick, at an early happy hour or something, where I can get 10% back. I can get 20% back, right? We're getting the 50%, we're getting the 60%. And then you come home and you pour it right back out and you're down to like 30. And it's that constant trying to recharge, but never fully recharging. But during that 3-week period, we were at 5, okay, the entire time. Because when I tell you, I did not shower on my own, I did not use the bath. I had to force my 4-year-old to go take naps. Like, baby, you're tired. Because for whatever reason, he still was waking up like it was a school day. So he was waking up at 6:30 every morning requesting breakfast, which breakfast was limited. He was having like yogurts and stuff at the time. Because also, him breastfeeding until he was about 3, of course, has created a very, 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 very picky eater. And a lot of the things that he likes to eat, or that I can, get him to eat, were on the no side of the what we can eat list, right? And the things that were allowed, the things that the doctors were saying, hey, try to see if he'll eat this, he did not like. The boy did not want Jell-O. Who doesn't like Jell-O? I don't know. The boy did not want applesauce, right? So we were on a very limited food availability. And so, he would wake up every morning and he would want his yogurts. Yogurt is not very filling, so he'd have like 2 of them or whatever. And it was always, and maybe I could get him to take a nap for like an hour, around 12:30, 1 o'clock ish. And then, we're right back at it. So maybe in that hour, I might have showered, because we were home. But it's so easy to get like in your head and kind of feel like I have to be a certain way and act a certain way or whatever. And so practicing like gentle self-talk after hard days is something that we kind of have to do too, right? Everyone talks about gentle parenting and being, nicer with them, and not, I don't know what type of household you were raised in, but, not being what our parents were. But we forget that is internal also. You can be so hard on yourself because you have to be all things to everyone, and that is impossible. You can't be perfect. Only God can be all things at all times to everyone, right? And last I checked, neither one of us is the Father, the Son, or the Holy Spirit. And so practicing positive, gentle self-talk. Marylyne, it was okay that you ordered Uber Eats today for the 3rd time this week. They ate, and everybody was happy. And I mean, I don't know if this makes anybody feel any better, but even when I order out, we're not a fast food family. We're not a drive-through family, right? So even if I order out, I'm ordering probably at the local Jamaican store, and they're going to get some rice, and they're going to get some meat, and they're going to get some plantain, a vegetable, whatever, some cabbage. The one who likes cabbage will eat that. So at least they're eating good. They're probably eating better than if I would have cooked something, because if you want me to cook during the week, you probably going to get some version of a pasta, because that can take me 30 minutes. And let me know if I have any Haitians here in the podcast with me. But y'all know that our food takes 72 business hours to make, right? Between the cleaning and the prepping and the cooking, and then now I got to clean up the kitchen too. Sometimes mama ain't got it. And the one thing that I can take off my plate is food. And so Uber Eats, you would think I would have had, I probably should get some stock in Uber Eats. Because at this point, the way that I am personally financing their growth needs to be studied, right? But you also have to make space for God's grace to kind of reach you in those mid meltdown moments, right? We have to not only give ourselves grace, but allow God to kind of come in and help you with that grace, because I can't do it by myself. Yes, physically, in terms of who's there and you can see and touch, we're on our own. But if you allow space for him to kind of come in and give you that strength, that can be that extra 10% you need, right? If I got myself to 50, he could probably get me to 70, maybe even 75 on a good day, on a day where I probably had Bible study with, my women's group or whatever. It gives you that little bit of extra. But you have to allow him space to do that and allow yourself the grace to be able to accept that. I hope that makes sense. Sometimes the most spiritual thing I can do is to not scream when someone's asking me for the 37th snack of the day. Weekends, days off, weeks off, I'll be like, we're in summer now, depending on where you live. Actually, no, by the time you guys see this, everyone should be in summer. Where is your school stomach, right? Your school day stomach when you're here in this house. And that goes for both of them, because the big one will leave the house without eating breakfast, go to school and not like the lunch that they're providing, come home, go straight to sleep, wake up around 8 and maybe then eat on a regular school day, right? Weekends, summer breaks, by noon, you've eaten 4 times. Why? I did not budget for that. The pantry, it's stocked, but I stocked it 2 days ago. And now it looks like if ACS walked into this house right now, they might actually take y'all. They might actually believe that I don't feed you. And it's crazy to me, especially because the little one, he actually does not eat, right? And I know that because especially at school, with him being such a picky eater, or maybe he eats at school and he doesn't eat at home, like certain things, but he will ask for a snack every hour on an hour. I think there is a timer set somewhere that I can't hear or see. But he'll ask for a snack every hour on the hour. And I'm like, did you do that Monday through Friday when you were at school from 8 to 5? How many times did you eat? Because I look at that little daily breakdown that they give us. You don't get there in time for breakfast, because they do breakfast super early. But you do eat breakfast at home. I'll give him that. Snack time. Do they have morning snack? Yeah, I think they have morning snack like right before they go take a nap, and then they have lunch or whatever, right? And most times I pick them up before afternoon snack. So even if we counted all of those times, then you come home, you eat dinner, blah, 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 I could account for that, right? I can account for, let me make sure he has a lunch. Clearly, we all have to eat dinner, and like a small snack. And then the snacks they give you at school, you be having 2 crackers and a goldfish, okay? And then you come home and you eat 2 bags of muffins, a pack of crackers, and 3 fruit snacks, 3 packs of fruit snacks. Why? Why must y'all do this? Why must y'all do this? And why must I be involved in it? Like, Jagger is so funny. And I love it. It's a good and it's a bad thing. It's a blessing and a curse. Jagger will announce everything that he wants to do, right? Mama, I need to use the bathroom. There are 3 of them in this house. Choose the closest one and go to it, right? I didn't need to know. Or, Mama, can I have a snack? Yes, absolutely. Go get your snack. Like, why must I be involved? Mama, I want to go play. Please, please do. Right. So it's just, those little things. And with all of that crazy, hectic beautifulness is trying to find micro moments to reset. Because let's be real, you're not going to get hours of solitude. And those of us who figure out how to do that, kudos to you. Like I said, I am kind of in a season where we can sort of kind of, not right now because it's summertime and the big one's home while the little one's at school. It's never both. But maybe you can find 5 intentional minutes. Hide in the pantry and breathe for a second. Throw on your favorite worship song. allowing yourself to have that quick cry and not apologize for it. During our busiest times of the year where there's, I'm also working full time because it's tax season maybe, and those hours during the day were not mine. Or when I'm being an ops manager for the content creator that I help, when all of the balls are all in the air at the same time, and maybe I didn't get a moment, sometimes my quiet intentional time is the 10 minutes that it takes for me to get home from my home to Jagger School in the evening. And for me, my favorite thing to do is throwing on like Auntie Cece, and just kind of just vibing out to that, just enjoying the quiet and maybe looking a little crazy while I'm singing, and maybe a tear coming down. Because one thing about a worship song, even when I'm happy, and it'd be happy tears. It could be happy tears. And sometimes it really just be like, yo, God is so good. And in that moment, those songs, the right song will remind you of that. But whatever your micro moment is, calling someone who gets it. One thing about it, even if they cannot be like an immediate part of your village, but having a mom or having a friend or having someone who gets it, even if they're not a mom, even if it's just someone that will just allow you to kind of release, if you have that, cherish that. And also, let's hope it's not one-sided, also that you're feeding into them, as well, and they can come to you. But sometimes that's all you need. My best friend, we can, I can tell her, your nephew, I'm gonna punch him in the face, right? I'm not actually gonna do it, but I can call her and tell her that. Why? Because she has a teenager and she has a girl, so she gets it, right? And so I can call and I can be vulnerable and I can say, I am so tired today. I am so tired today. Or they really pissed me off today. Or I need a second. And I can say that without judging, without her feeling like she's going to judge me, or, like I'm being a bad mom because of it. You can also try, even if it's like once a week for an hour or two. And I know that it's not always possible. One thing about the age gap that we have in our household, it can be a blessing, because with Ethan being 15, I got a built-in babysitter, and I know some of you guys don't have that, or not there yet. It's coming. It's not there yet where they can either watch themselves or watch the younger one, but they're almost 11 years apart, right? Ethan is 15, Jagger won't be 4 until the end of the year. So if it's an evening movie and I'm like, it's a Friday night, they don't even have school tomorrow, so whether they make it to bed on time or not, it's not my problem. It's tomorrow Marylyne's problem. Right now, Marylyne is not interested in whether you get to bed on time, because I'm going to go have me a dinner, or I'm going to go watch a movie, or I'm going to go do something guilt-free. Now, the older one will try to make me feel guilty. You're gonna go out to eat without us? And is and am and will, and I'm on my way out the door right now, right? And I'll just bring them back something, because we can't fully get out of mom mode. But also, even if you can't do that, maybe hopefully your child is at an age, because even starting really young, where you can set boundaries lovingly, of course, whether it's when you see mama turn, when you hear mama turn on this song, just, I'm taking a moment, right? Or when I close the door, hopefully your kids listen, that means do not enter for a moment. Now, let's be real. If you close your door all the time and never open it, they are not going to care, right? But if it is one of those things where they can notice the pattern, mommy only closes the door for about 10 or 15 minutes. They'll start to get it. It's not going to happen right away, but even the youngest, they get it, because Jagger is 4, and when he wants to, he understands it. When I say mama's in the bathroom, please go find something to do. Now, will that only last 2 minutes and he forgot that I just told him and walk into the room again, and then I have to remind him again? Maybe. But we're so used to that, then that 2 minutes could be all you needed. That 5 seconds, not 5 seconds, I need a little bit more than that. I don't know why I almost said that. But those couple of minutes could really do a lot. And I think we appreciate those a little bit more than others, because that's all you got, right? And you learn to recalibrate, reset really quickly when you're a solo parent, right? And a solo parent of multiples is another thing, because I might have just told Big, hey, can you just go chill in your room for a moment because mommy needs a second? And he might have listened. He might have been like, and walked away and went into his room. But then Little walks in 2 seconds later. And I can't say, didn't I just tell you? Because I didn't. I told the other one. And now it's his turn to kind of want mommy. And now I have to remind him too. Right. And then by the time I get him, convince him that he should leave the room and give mommy a second, the other one has decided, well, I gave her 5 minutes and it's now coming back out, right? So having multiples can maybe add a little level of, how about y'all bother each other instead of bother me? Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. And I've been truly blessed with the two that I have, because every so often, Big will have a moment where he sees it and he's like, Jagger, let's leave mommy alone. Come to my room. And let me tell you, he hates 90% of the time, hates when his little brother is in his room, in his space, in his overall vicinity at all. But there are those moments. There are not few. I was going to say few and far in between. They're not that few. It's maybe once or twice a week. And it doesn't always last, because he'll say that and then 20 minutes later, I hear one person screaming at the other. Or Jagger comes running into a room, Mama, Ethan's being mean to me. He calls his big brother Ethy instead of Ethan, because though he knows how to say Ethan now, when he was a baby, he couldn't. And it just kind of stuck. And now everybody calls Ethan Ethy. Well, everybody in the house is kind of a thing. But setting those boundaries, I think that they can start pretty early. And if we're intentional about it, eventually they'll get it. And will it always last and will it always work? No. But cherish those moments when they do, because we know, again, every moment counts. Every moment counts with them, but every moment counts with yourself as well, because I'm going to say it a million times, there is no one else to tag in. It's you all the time. You are the doctor, the chauffeur, the chef, the counselor, and all parents are, right? But the difference with solo parenting is that this is not I was going to say, what's the law for a partnership, right? There is no, I'm not driving him today. Go ask your dad. There is no, I don't feel like being worried about dinner today. Can you go pick something up for us? There isn't any of that. So that constant mental you got to be on, is real. And I see you. I get it, even if no one else does. Hopefully we are building a community here where you feel safe enough to kind of let us know. And let me know also in the comments, what are your moments of, dude, give me 5 minutes? Like, when was the last time you had to literally say to your kid, please, please just give me 2 minutes. Mommy just needs 2 minutes. And what was going on? Like, let me know. I want to know that you guys are kind of, we're in this together. I'm not just kind of like the only one, because am I the only one? I hope I'm not. That I'm not just going crazy over here all by myself. And if you guys do have perfect children, let me know what you did. Did you bribe them? Did God just bless you with understanding kids who know boundaries and listen? Okay, because we are fighting for our lives over here 24/7. Okay. My kids are very much like me in certain ways and the complete opposite of me in others. And one of the ways that they are just like me is that they are stubborn. They are stubborn and they are strong-willed, and they are very opinionated. So one thing about it, big or little, you're going to know what they're thinking. You're going to know how they feel. And that's just the way our household works, for better or for worse. Sometimes it's not great. Sometimes it is worse because sometimes they just don't know when to just, I know you have something to say to me, but I need you to respect the fact that right now is not that time. Does it ever work for you guys when you say that? Like, hey, I hear you. I know that you need to talk, but right now I cannot. I'll let you know when, because minds don't care. Minds will hear it, will receive it, and then be like, but ABCD, right? So, because you have to remember, it's not selfish to protect your peace. It's sacred, it's necessary, it's needed. Okay? You have to remember you are not a machine. You are a human being doing divine work in an overstimulating world, right? You don't have to be available to everyone all of the time. Like literally, Jesus himself had to step away to reset. Okay. And if the creator of our world needed quiet, baby, so do you, mama. And it's okay. It's okay. I know that because the other one isn't there, that there is this almost guilt that, I mean, maybe not you guys, maybe I'm speaking for myself, but sometimes I feel like I have to overcompensate for the fact that the other one isn't there, right? And, just do more and more and more. But the reality is that you cannot be all things to all people at all times. You just can't, no matter how much we want to think that we can. And it's okay to kind of sit in that, right? So the verse I want to kind of leave you guys with today is Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1. It says, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, right? So when things are getting hectic and crazy and whatever, remember that there is a time, right? This moment might be when I need the quiet. This moment in time might be when I can go outside and play basketball with you, or go in your room and sit on the floor and play blocks with you, right? And there is a season for every activity under the heavens. And in remembering that it's right now, you're in the season of solo parenting, but soon, real soon, because I promise you it doesn't last forever, where it feels like this much is like a weight, because you're always in it, right? We're always going to be mothers, we're always going to be the solo parents, but maybe one day you get to be the grandma and just enjoy, you know, the works of your labor. One day they'll go off to college and that'll be your success as much as theirs because you got them there, right? So we are in the season of the hustle, and the bustle, and the going, but it is a season, right? There is a season for everything under the sun. So if this episode made you exhale a little bit, share it with another mom who needs that reminder too. We're not superwomen, we're women, leaning on the supernatural God. Thanks for tuning into the Solo Mama Show. As always, keep your crown high, the snack stocked, and I'll see you next week. Follow, share, and stay lifted, mama. Love you. Bye.